they would say that technology is amazing. I can get information from ChatGPT very quickly. I mean, the teacher cares about all the students, but ChatGPT helps me alone, my problems, right? And I can do research for my homework, and I can make presentations, and everything's so much easier now, right?
Hi, can I have a question, please?
Yeah, of course. What's your question?
How to improve my listening and reading skills?
Wow. Okay. So let me just finish my point and pay attention to this, because it is connected to listening, right? Okay. Now, I've said when you answer this question, is technology important in education? If you ask the teacher. So think here. You have different ways of thinking, right? So firstly, you have the question, if the examiner asks you a question, is technology important in education? Let me see. So when you say, let me see, you're waiting for the information to come. Let me see. And how do you sound? You sound, your pitch is higher, you don't know the answer yet, so you're waiting for something to come, right? Now, your brain is filling up with important information about this question. And you can say, well, if you ask a teacher, now you're starting to compare ideas, so you need contrast stress. So if you were to ask a teacher, they would say, so listening to the contrast stress, and this is getting to what the questioner just asked me, you're listening for contrast stress, and that tells you how the person is thinking. At first, you can say, and it's not just the listening, it's the body language, right? Or what we call prosody. So you can say, let me see. And this has a different pronunciation to, if you were to ask a teacher, it's faster, right? It's much faster. So the pronunciation has changed because you're in a different part of, a different phase of thinking. So you need to start listening for that. You're listening for, are they opening up to the question? Are they comparing ideas in their head before they reach the answer that they want, right? Or are they changing their mind? So you can say, although if something happened, then I would probably do it this way instead. So now you're qualifying your answer, right? So you're kind of reopening to other ideas coming in. So there's different, what we call epistemic phases. There's different thought phases, and I call it open, compare, commit, and reopen, to 4 different phases like that. And they all sound different. They all have different pronunciations, right? And the reason why is pronunciation is controlling the phase, the thought phase. So the pronunciation is actually controlling your thoughts, and also signaling to other people what you're thinking, how you're thinking, and what stage of your thinking you're in. So the people can read you, and this way they can, what we call epistemic inhabitation, they can start to understand your perspective. So this is why perspectives are so important. If you were to ask a teacher, now your brain is going into the brain of a teacher, right? And the world opens up, and you start to see their perspective, and you will get information that you couldn't get on your own. If I just asked to say, what do you think about this topic? This topic here. The question is technology important in education? Right? And you say, well, I'm not really sure, I don't know. But if you think about it from different perspectives, you're living inside the head of another person. And you can think, okay, I understand their perspective. But the great thing about this is that I'm not putting pressure on you for your answer, right? Now you're kind of playing. You say, okay, if I'm a teacher, the pressure's off, right? So now the ideas can start to come. So, and this is answering the question that Rachel answers, what if they don't have their own ideas? That's fine. You can steal the ideas of other people. But you need your thought process working. If you're used to memorizing and copying from the board, you don't have this way of taking different perspectives and using your own thought process. You have to build the confidence in the students to do that, right? So this is how I teach. Now, you're going to change, you're going to contrast, you're going to say, however, and this is me signaling, now I'm going to give a different perspective. However, if you asked a student, contrast stress, remember at the beginning, if you asked a teacher, however, if you asked a student, this is a contrast, and you're opening a new way of thinking, right? If you were to ask a student, they would probably say something different. They would think about how they can get easy information from their phone and do their homework in a more easy way. But the teacher is thinking a different way, right? They're thinking about what about the development of the child's, their students' thought processes? Are they performing well going towards the test? Are they going to become more proficient later in next year, or they're thinking maybe longer term? So two different perspectives, but you need to access different perspectives, and when you do that, you get more information on the topic. And at the end of your answer, you can say, the teachers have a point, the students have a point, and probably I would think somewhere in the middle, or I would agree with the teachers because it's their job, right? So that's how I would approach speaking part 3, right? It's all about the thought process and opening yourself up to the thought process, going into the mind or the perspective of other people, and taking the ideas from that perspective, right? So, and listening is part of that, because pronunciation and listening are very connected. Now, just to get more directly into the answer about how can you improve listening and reading. So these are the receptive skills, right? Not the productive skills, these are the receptive skills. And number 1 is definitely vocabulary. If you don't know the words, you can't hear them, right? You can't hear them, and when you're reading, you can't understand them, and you can't do scanning and find words or things like that. So vocabulary is definitely one of the most important things. I think for listening, number 2, the second most important thing, I would say, is actually pronunciation. It's especially something like connected speech. When you can hear the words connecting properly, like that, you can hear a lot more of the conversation. We've done some lessons in this here, and the students are very aware of that now. All my students understand that. So when the words are connected, when you hear the words which are connected, so I'll give you an example. So you have here like this, an old orange, right? An old orange. And these connect because if a word starts with a vowel, it joins the word before, right? So now we have 3 words becoming one. An old orange. So it's an old orange. An old orange. Now it sounds different, right? An old orange. Is this the same language? An old orange, right? So you get connected speech is really, really important. And then you have other problems like this one. Let's have a look. I need to clean more space here. Would he have called her? Okay, there's a sentence, but actually if I say that, people can't hear it. Would he have called her? What? But when I write it down, you understand, right? So what's happening? What's happening is the H here and here drops off. With pronouns, the H is dropping off. He, his, her, him. Now, it starts with an E, meaning it connects now to the previous word. Would he have called her? Would he have called her? Would he have called her? Like that. Also, this part here drops off, have, and we have a kind of here. Would he have What do you have coda? Like that. So when I say that with Vietnamese students, they say, what? What do you have coda? What do you have coda? What? Now, when you see it like this, you understand it, right? So this takes a little bit of time getting used to connected speech. But if you understand connected speech, you're practicing in your pronunciation, your listening skill gets much better. Then, when you're listening to, for example, you're listening, I think it's listening part 3 in the IELTS test, you start to, you have a group of people all speaking, and if they're native speakers speaking, they're using connected speech all the time, but you can't hear it. And if there's 3 or 4, if there's more than one person speaking at the same time, it's impossible to be in the conversation. So pronunciation, guys, is really important for your, especially connected speech, for your listening skills, vocabulary, and that. Apart from that, I don't want to spend too much time talking about reading and listening. My show is really about speaking skills. I'm happy to, with my students to give them some tips like this. But yeah, I focus on speaking. And remember, actually, when you're speaking, you're listening at the same time. So here's another idea. You can, speak into your recorder, record an answer, and then listen to your production and say, how could I improve? So by doing that, you're improving your listening skills, right? You're checking your pronunciation. Could I have changed given a better example? Could have I explained this better? Your listening skills improve at the same time. Another thing that you can do, guys, is take 1 or 2 minutes from a movie and then listen and write down what you hear. If something you don't understand, stop, rewind, and wait until, do that 5 times if you need to, and write down what you hear, right? And so it will take you, to get through like 1 or 2 minutes of a movie, it will take you 1 hour, right? Just rewinding, listening again, rewind, listening again. But at the end of the process, you will have new vocabulary, your listening skills will have improved a lot, right? Your fluency will start to improve, your pronunciation will improve, like that, and your feeling is much closer to native speakers. So that would be a great way to improve your listening skills as well. Right? I call that micro listening, so you should try that one. So, I wonder if Miss...
Thank you, teacher.
Yeah, you're welcome, Miss Rachel. Is there any observations about what I just said? I was speaking, it feels like I was speaking for a couple of years there. What do you think about what I said, Miss Rachel, or the person who asked the question?
I think it's a good tip for me to get the ideas for my answer. I think so.
Right.
Like when someone asks me the opinion about something, I cannot think of any ideas myself. So if I think from different perspectives, it's going to be easier for me to get different ideas and lengthen my answer. I think so. It's good. Thank you.
Taking different perspectives, right? I mean, it's not the same as role playing, but it's kind of similar. And yeah, when you see the what we call the salience field. So you have a kind of a bunch of information which is going to be relevant to that question, but you take a different angle to it. And this then opens you up to new ideas, right? So yeah, it's a good way to learn.
Yeah, it's a good way. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is part of my theory. So I'm writing a paper on exactly that. It's called what I call epistemic inhabitation. You're inhabiting the thought processes of other people.
Hey, in your opinion, how can someone at Band 5 about speaking IELTS improve to get a Band 6? I'm currently at around Band 5 and I'm really struggling with Part 2. How can improve?
Yeah, well, I think that you need a kind of a specific system to work with. I mean, I teach my students. Most of my best results are with kind of lower band students like that at your level. And you know that getting up to band 6, you don't have to be super dynamic, but you do need to have a kind of enough structure so that you can have the confidence to answer any kind of question, even if it's a basic way, but you can still answer the question without stopping a lot, and you can kind of do it logically. So for example, in speaking part 2, we've covered a lot of speaking part 2 in my shows. So in speaking part 2, you have to describe. That's the key word, describe. So you need a lot of adjectives, right? And also, actually, I was teaching speaking part 2 in my class tonight. You need a lot of adjectives, but the adjectives alone are not so. How would you say? It's not enough. You need intensifiers. So if you think about an adjective, right? You can say, Mr. Alex, you're handsome. Okay, you say, oh, thank you very much. And then you say, okay, I'm going to use an intensifier. You can say, you're super handsome. Now you sound more enthusiastic, but your adjective and your use of the adjective is better because you're using an intensifier. You're making it stronger. You're incredibly handsome, Mr. Alex. Right? Okay, I'm taking this too far, but you understand what I mean, right? Now, if you also want to improve your adjectives, your describing, you can use comparatives and superlatives, right? In fact, you're just as handsome as Brad Pitt, right? Or you're not as handsome as Brad Pitt, or you're even more handsome than Brad Pitt, right? Much more handsome than Brad Pitt. So you're comparing or using superlative. You're the most handsome teacher I've ever known, right? So, and if you say it like that, and this is an easy structure to learn, so for example, let's say that you want to describe the personality of someone. So the question in speaking part 2 is describe someone you know who is adventurous, right? So you can say, well, my friend Tung is incredibly adventurous, intensifier and adjective. In fact, he's the most adventurous person, superlative, I've ever met, present perfect. And that's just in one kind of one or two sentences. And I teach my students over and over and over: intensifier, adjective, superlative, present perfect. Practice, practice, practice. And you can use this for every question. So if it's a person, it can be a place, an object, an experience. Let's look at an object, right? You have to describe an object, right? So here's a phone. And you can say, well, I'm going to talk about my iPhone 17 Pro, right? It's incredibly expensive because I had to get it from Europe or so. You can say it's incredibly expensive, intensifier and adjective. In fact, it's the most expensive thing I've ever owned. So superlative and present perfect. The same structure you used for describing a person. You can use it for an object. You can use it for an experience. You can use it for a place. Let's look at Da Nang. I'm going to describe Da Nang. Da Nang is incredibly chilled. Intensifier and adjective. In fact, it's the most chilled city I've ever been to in Vietnam. Okay? And again, you have your superlative and your present perfect. So you need to practice these. And this works for every speaking part 2 question. There's other things that I do in like giving different points of view and things like that, going through 4 categories to describe something. So for example, if you're describing a person, you describe their personality, their appearance, their personality, what hobbies do they like, and what are their future ambitions. So you need adjectives to start describing each category. So once you have a system like that, you can start to, you will definitely be able to get up to a band 6. But you need a system like that. I teach that on my courses. So if you want to know about that, you can join my offline courses in Kaozai, or you can join my online courses if you want.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, I hope that helps you, right? And maybe I can ask Miss Rachel a question. Miss Rachel, will you be studying IELTS?
Yes. In the near future, I'm searching for the proper adventure for me.
Oh, you're gonna learn IELTS, right? So what did you think about the answer then, the ideas that I gave you for speaking part 2 now? Is that interesting?
It's interesting, but I think that to improve the answer for the part 2 question, I think that we should think of the ideas, different ideas for that. Not just about like emphasizing something like your emotion or something. It's not about that.
Yeah. I mean,
Because actually for the part 2, you have to answer the question in 2 minutes. So the big problem for the students, I think, is about how to lengthen the answer, talk in the long time in 2 minutes. It's
Yeah.
not about emphasizing something. You should think of something like. Do you think so? Like think
no,
of
I
the
know.
ideas to put in the answers.
The key word in speaking part 2 is this word, right? So there's a word here, which is describe, right? This is the key word in speaking part 2. You have to give a description. So, for example, sometimes if you, there's a question, for example, like describe a person you know who is humorous, and they start to talk about humorous situations and jokes that the person had and all that, but they forget to describe them. So when I say that you have to talk about to describe them, if you describe the person, you should talk about their appearance. So when I say, in terms of appearance, my friend Tung is tall, he's thin, he wears glasses, he's casually dressed, right? Sometimes wears jewelry like that, and he has kind of a flat nose or brown eyes, something like that. Okay, then when we talk about personality, you can say, yeah, so my friend Tung is also very, very adventurous, and this is when you emphasize the adventurous side of him, because that's the part that's in the question, right? So you can say, he's incredibly outgoing, he likes to go outdoors, he's always up for an adventure, and one time we went on a bike trip, and we went all over Vietnam and over for 1 month, and whatever your story is going to be. And then you say, in terms of hobbies, Tung is really keen on sports. He's such a sporty person. In fact, he's probably the most sporty person I know, or I've ever known, right? Incredibly sporty. And in fact, he plays like about 5 different sports. And I find it hard to keep up with him, right? So he plays sports with lots of different people. Lastly, yeah, hello. So I'm just finishing. So lastly, ambitions. Tung would like to be a football player. So in the future, he wants to join a football team and go professional. And I think that there's a good chance that he's do it. He has the skill level. He's incredibly skillful. And, he's a very determined guy. And I think that it's possible that he could do it. Right? So that would be what I do, Miss Rachel, is I give a kind of very simple, I give a structure, but then with the structure, you can start to give more examples, tell a story, give a different point of view, things like that, right? Yeah. So that was just to give you, I have to teach in small parts, because when you speak for 2 minutes, you have to learn different parts, like adjectives about the different categories and things like that. But then when you start practicing, you can really start to let your personality go out, because you have a nice structure. That's my approach. Okay, we still have a lot of people watching. This is really good. Guys, thank you so much for following me. I really appreciate all these followers. That's 87 people following us, Miss Rachel.
Congratulations.
Or is it 86? 86, 87. Thank you for following, guys. Send us your likes, and if you have any questions, please put your questions into the chat box. Join us, become a guest, and ask me some questions. I'm getting tired now, but there's so many people watching. Why are so many people watching, Miss Rachel?
Because you are so charming, you are good teacher. Talkative, you are good teacher. They want to listen to you, maybe.
I think it's.
I think that is maybe because today is weekend, so they have a day off. They have time for you.
Oh my goodness!
Maybe.
I think it's because I have such an incredible co-hostess.
Oh my god! Or maybe because you are so handsome.
Now I know you're not. You're not telling the truth. Okay, so baby three, baby three is asking a question. In part 3, can I give a personal opinion? And the answer is you can, but not only sometimes, right? If you give your own personal opinion, one, it's more difficult, and two, it's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for general opinions, right? Now, if you give a general opinion, you can say, well, most people would say this, or most Vietnamese people would say that, most old people would say something different, most young people, you can do it like that. And that's actually an easier way to answer. But at the end, you can say, and I would probably agree, if I had to, I would probably agree with the old people on this one. You know, they have a lot of experience. They know what Vietnam was like 50 years ago. So they have personal experience about that. Also, if the question asks you specifically, what do you think? Then, of course, you can give your own opinion very clearly. But usually the questions are something like, I got rid of my question. The question might be something like, is the food healthy in your country? So in that situation, I wouldn't say what I think. What I would say is, well, most old people in Vietnam would probably say it's not as healthy as it used to be. Traditional food is healthier, and nowadays we have McDonald's and we have Burger King and a lot of snack junk food, things like that, sugary drinks. They didn't have that when they were younger. So for them, they would. But if you were to ask a nutritionist or a young person, they would say, well, yeah, we can eat lots of things now. We have more variety. People are getting taller. They're living longer. So of course the food is better now, right? So before, when the old people, they ate mostly rice, and there wasn't enough nutrition in that, and they were small and they didn't grow. So, you know, I think you can give your opinion, but usually you're giving a general opinion. And if you're going to give a general opinion, I would pick a group of people and represent them, right? Yeah. So I hope that helps you with baby 3. Baby 3. You were on Friday, weren't you? Yeah, you're welcome, baby 3. In part 2, do I have to follow and answer the question in the cue card? That's a great question, baby 3. So you will see that on the question card, the cue card, it says there's a question at the beginning, and then it says you should address the following questions. But it doesn't say you have to. It just says you should. Now, if you're going to answer, if you want to answer the question and you friend that you have that you like, right? On the cue card it will say why you like them, right? Say and it will ask you extra questions. But actually, when you give your answer and the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to say, today I'm going to give a description of a good friend of mine who's called Tung, and you know, he helps me a lot in life. And you know, I'm going to talk about him. So then you go on to describe him, and you can say in terms of his appearance, in terms of personality, in terms of his hobbies, and then when you're doing that, you can tell kind of like a story, and you can say, and that's why I like him so much, and this is why we spend so much time, because we share this, and other people think this, but I disagree with them. They don't really know Tung as well as I do. You will find that those questions on the cue card, you've answered them, right? But anyway, you don't have to answer them. The only one you have to focus on is the question at the top. That's the one that you really have to answer. So I hope that helps. Guys, please send me some likes and follow me. Invite your friends to follow me. I really enjoy that. I really appreciate your gifts and your coins and your diamonds and coffees and things like that. I appreciate it so much, guys. When I make mistakes, should I... If it's a... thank you. And I don't know what to call you. Nguyen Kien Vietnam. I think that's what that is, right? Nguyen Kien from Vietnam. Thank you for the rose. And then Zoom sent a rose also. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you so much. Amazing. Should I correct it right away or just move? You can correct a mistake if it's going to be quick. If it's going to spend time and it's going to break up your answer, just forget about it and keep going, right? You can kind of indicate that you understand that there was a mistake and just make sure you don't make the same mistake again, right? If you spend too much time correcting the mistake, you'll break up and it will make you more nervous. But you know, if you, for example, you want to use the present perfect, then you use it, or maybe the third person. So if you have, for example, the third person, and you can say, my friend have 3 dogs. Oh, you can say, sorry, has 3 dogs. That's fine. You've corrected yourself, and you've shown that you knew that you were making a mistake, and it was a bad habit, like that. But if you were making if it's another, maybe like you're going to change your mind about something, you can well, actually, one thing you can say, if it's part of your answer, and you can say yeah, technology is really important, especially artificial intelligence, and then you change your mind, or you have a better answer, or something like that. One thing you can say, oh, scratch that, right? So if you say like, you know, you can say that the ChatGPT really helps me with my answers. You can modify your answer. You can say, well, scratch that. ChatGPT is a kind of thought assistant. It doesn't help me with my answer, but it gives me feedback on my answer, right? So you can modify your answer. You can say, scratch that, and then make your answer better, modify your answer, and that shows that you're being dynamic, right? This is the problem when students memorize answers, they forget to be dynamic. They say, oh wait, so if it's, maybe you're going to talk about sport, right? And you can say, yeah, I play football all the time, and you know, it's my favorite sport. So unless it's the weekend, right? Because at the weekend, I'm with my parents. My parents can't play football, so we play badminton. That's dynamic. That's what gets you a high score, right? And it sounds different. And in this, the examiner knows that you're thinking and you're using English for thinking. You're not just parroting a memorized answer, right? You sound authentic. You sound genuine. That's what's going to get you high scores. Okay, I read on AI 9 question types in part 3. How can you teach that in a short course? Well, that's a good question, Baby 3. Thank you for all of these amazing questions, right? Okay, 9 question types. I usually teach, this is actually going back to the question that Miss Rachel was asking about earlier, right? How can you answer difficult questions? Well, one way is to become familiar with the different question types. So what I do is I say, okay, here's the different question types, and actually I count them as 7. There's 2 which are kind of similar to the other ones, and there is kind of like the essay types, like, you know, you have different essay types, you also have different question types, right? And most IELTS teachers, they don't even know that. They don't think about it like that, right? But there are different question types, like advantages, disadvantages, you have predictions and things like that. So what I do is I put the list of all the different question types at the top, and I mark them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever it is. And then I have a list of questions underneath, and I tell my students, okay, beside each question, put the number of the question type. So you can do the same thing. You can use ChatGPT to do this activity, right? Put the different question types at the top, give it a number, then a list of maybe 20 or 30 questions, and then just go through each question and match it to a question type, and a speaking question, part 3 question type. And then maybe you'll start to become more familiar with the question type. And there's another thing that you can do that maybe Miss Rachel would like to hear about in speaking part 3, right? So you can use the words of the question when you start answering the question, right? So you can say prediction. Do you? Let's say will. Let's say will, right? Will. Let's say we can go back to the question we had before. Will technology become more important in education in the future? Okay, now this is a prediction question type, right? Now, we're going to use our perspective. We're going to use our perspective approach, right? So, in the education, so a key perspective here is teachers. Okay, so you can say, well, most teachers would say no. And then you go to the question, back to the question. No, technology will not become more important in education in the future. So now you're using the words from the question in your answer by having a perspective, right? And this is also something that takes a little bit of practice to get used to, but it buys you time, because when you get the question, and it's a complicated question, right? You get your perspective, you answer yes or no, and then you use the words from the question, and you give this, you start your answer like this. Well, will technology become more important in education in the future? Well, most teachers would say no. Technology will not become more important in education in the future. So now you've given a quick yes/no answer, but you've kind of paraphrased the question, which gets you high points. But also you have time to get into the perspective of the teacher. So you did this. Will not become more important in education in the future, and they would say that probably because, right, like that, they've been teaching the same way for a long time. Even like back, a teacher would say for thousands of years, even when they were teaching in caves. There's no cave art. We had paintings on walls, and that was illustration. That was teaching. They were teaching you how to fight. They were teaching you how to hunt. Teaching has always been in this traditional mode, right? So technology is not going to change that much. So there you go, guys. I hope that's been helpful for you. Of course, it's easy for me to explain this very quickly, but in my classes, we practice this a lot, right? It takes some time to get used to the idea. How to pronounce Catalan? I don't know. Catalan? Is that, you mean the name? Catalan? My perspective is to become fluent in speaking. Okay, thank you for that, Rod. We have another rose. Thank you, Saizung. Roses. Lots of nice things. Guys, really nice questions today. How many hours of your course? Well, the standard course is 36 hours for speaking and pronunciation, but also we have another, I think maybe 5 or 6 lessons, like 15 hours with a TA working on your individual problems. So you will have 36 hours with me teaching you, and then you will have also have some time, because I will analyze, and I get my students to send me Zalo responses, and I analyze them, and I write down what I think your problems are, and then I get the TA to work with you on your own specific problems. separately. So, but you can contact me directly on TikTok, or you can call here on the contact number and speak to Miss Fuong, who will give you more information about the course, and she will give you information about how to enroll. So contact her in the morning or contact me directly on TikTok. I'll give you more information. Right? Thank you, baby 3. How many levels in your course? Actually, right now I'm only teaching one level, but actually my level is, well, when I say one level, it's quite broad. So as long as the student can hear me, I'm going to teach them. And I teach kind of like two different things at the same time. So I will teach kind of structure for the lower level students, like that. And then at the same time, when they're working on building their structure, I can also teach the dynamic elements of the responses to the higher level students. And I pair students with people on their own level, and I get them working on kind of higher level responses. So right now I kind of have a broad level of students, but they have to be above the listening has to be 5.5 or higher so that they can understand my instructions, right? And there's not many people who are at level 8 or 9 or something, up at the high levels. Most of the students are all kind of like 5.5, 6, 6.5, that kind of bandwidth there. Okay.
I think that for more details of your courses, you can directly message him or her. And I think that you can get back to the people in the waiting list.
Yeah. Well, maybe can you explain something about the courses now again? And then I think we're going to wrap up soon, right?
Yeah, it's quite late now.
Yeah, I'm getting tired as well. So you can tell them about the course. We'll be back on Wednesday and Friday at 10, right?
Yeah, so everyone, bọn mình đây là livestream của thầy Alex, và bọn mình sẽ có livestream vào thứ Tư và thứ Sáu hàng tuần vào lúc 10 giờ tối, và thỉnh thoảng sẽ có livestream vào Chủ nhật hàng tuần. Và nếu mọi người muốn tham gia thì mọi người cứ feel free thôi, sẽ tham gia free ở đây. Và ngoài ra thì thầy Alex còn có lớp học trực tiếp cũng như là online. Lớp học trực tiếp sẽ ở Cầu Giấy ở Hà Nội. Nếu như bạn nào gần đấy thì có thể tham gia, hoặc là nhắn tin cho thầy để biết thêm thông tin về khóa học, cũng như là gọi thầy trực tiếp bằng số ở trên bảng. Và bọn mình here at the so sorry, it's okay. Get back to you.
Okay.
It's done for me. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rachel. So Sai Zung is asking about the price. I'm not going to speak about the price on the live show, but if you contact Ms. Zung or contact me directly, we'll get you the information, right? So please contact us directly about that, guys. We're gonna stop the live show now, but it's been really amazing. I haven't done this on a Sunday, but it's been really good. So I don't know if it's because it's Sunday or because the magic that Miss Rachel is bringing to the show, but whatever it is, it's working really well, right? And a lot of people have come on and asked really cool questions, and we have a lot of new followers. Please send me more followers, guys. Follow me, tell your friends to follow me, and things like that. And please send me more likes. We like the likes and the gifts and things like that. That's really cool. It shows me that you appreciate what I'm doing here. And guys, we're going to be here on Wednesday and Friday next week at 10 p.m. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Please tell your friends to come, ask questions, bring your questions with you. Wish you a beautiful sleep too, oh Mile. Thank you very much. And I would like to say everybody that Miss Rachel was amazing today, and she's a great hostess, and I hope that you enjoyed the show with us both. Thank you, baby 3. Sai Zung, just a number only. TikTok won't recognize what you say to me. No, I'm not. It's not about TikTok, Sai Zung. It's just I don't want to speak about the prices. I am the teacher. I'm academic, and the pricing and the contract and whatever, that's with Miss Fuong. It's not what I do, right? I'm here as the teacher. Okay, so please contact us after the show or the number here, and you can can get that information, right? Right? So you can go. Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop now. We will have more. We will put the videos up from the live stream, so you will be able to get. If there's any information missing that you want to see again, check out our videos, right? Okay, so thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Nyung. Very useful. Thank you very much for the feedback. And I would like to say thank you very much to Ms. Rachel. Thank you very much, Ms. Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay.
And good night.
Good night. Have a great sleep.
Beautiful sleep.
I will talk to you soon, right?
Okay.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
See you Wednesday,
Bye,
10
everyone.
p.m. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Livestream chơi mà tại sao chơi riêng không livestream? Trời ơi má, tao nói với ổng, anh ơi, thằng này nó mới có 17 tuổi à. Ổng nói vậy nè,